What is up, YouTube? And in case you didn't pay attention to the title, I'm going to be talking about Coming to America Part 2. So, first things first, I'm not going to say this is a good movie, and I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. It's one of those situations where it's kind of up for interpretation. This is going to be a little bit more of a mixed review. Obvious spoilers, right? I'm going to just keep it brief. Eddie Murphy's father is about to die. He needs someone to take charge and become the prince. The problem is he has no sons. Turns out he actually has a long lost son back in New York. He finds out through an oracle. He goes to get his son. In the meantime, Wesley Snipes, the leader of another country, is trying to get one of his children married to Eddie Murphy so he can bond their kingdoms. It's not really clear if he wants to take over the country from the inside through bonding their families, or if he wants to, I guess, the military strength and wealth through combining the countries, or to get revenge, because in the first movie, the woman that Eddie Murphy left at the altar actually turns out to be his sister. The joke was that he told her to bark like a dog. Apparently, she never stopped doing that. So it's not really clear like what Wesley Snipes' true intentions were. But all through the movie, he's trying to get his daughter to marry Eddie Murphy's son. Now, Eddie Murphy's son actually falls in love with another woman. You know how these things go. He ends up marrying a woman. Instead of becoming a prince of Zamunda, he ends up becoming an ambassador. And Eddie Murphy just allows one of his daughters to become the future queen of Zamunda. Now, with that being said, this movie tries to deal with the issue of patriarchal societies. Tried to talk about gender roles and just sexism, my fault, in general, which is why I feel like this movie kind of failed. Now, the reason why I don't like when certain types of politics or issues are touched on in comedic movies is because if it's not tackled right and it's done horrible, it kind of hurts the movie, because the movie spends so much time trying to be preachy and woke that it kind of forgets to be funny. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. This movie came out in like 1980 something, the original one. There's no way it could possibly be as funny or just impactful as the first one. Now, that's true to a certain extent. Okay, the movie did come out originally in a different time. A lot of the actors are way older. They're at different points of their career. They don't have to try as hard. And just in general, this is just a different time period with a different generation who probably has a different sense of humor. Me personally, I didn't think it was funny. Not because it just was kind of corny. And that's the point I was about to make. They spend so much time talking about sexism and women and men's role, especially in a monarchy, that it kind of becomes hypocritical, because it's like they kind of made a mockery of African culture. Now, maybe it's just me, but everything was so over the top and flamboyant that it kind of was ignorant to a certain extent, and it wasn't really funny. Like, shit was just extra corny and goofy. You know what I mean? Like, the first movie kind of was, but it still felt genuine. This movie tried to take itself too serious at times, and then other times it was just way too fucking corny to be funny. So it's kind of mixed. And I say it also contradicted itself on trying to be woke. On one minute, they're talking about sexism and things like that, and how, you know, women should be able to take the same leadership roles in societies. And then the other scene, like in a barbershop, I noticed they still have Eddie Murphy playing that old Jewish guy. I'm pretty sure Jew face isn't really politically correct, but they like to talk about sexual harassment and other things in the movie. So it's like, where the fuck are you going with this? Like, you can't say one thing is outdated and it's not cool to joke about it anymore. And another thing is, I don't think they thought that far. But again, like I said, this movie tried to be self-aware and politically woke, but it just comes off kind of cringy and hypocritical. So outside of the plot being really cliche and predictable, and outside of the movie, to me, just not genuinely being funny. Like, me personally, I don't know if it's just me, but I really don't find Tracy Morgan funny. Definitely wasn't in this movie. the characters were, none of them were really focused on. Now, as far as like the main sad characters, the most iconic ones, damn near everybody either is in the movie completely as they old role, or they have a cameo appearance. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Like Eddie Murphy even plays like all of his old, you know, doppelgangers. You know, kind of like how Martin plays Shanae and fucking Otis and shit like that. Eddie Murphy did the same characters. The problem is with his children, none of them were expanded on. And I get it. The theme of this movie was women can be leaders. You know, you don't have to stick to old traditions and shit, right? So his daughters and his wife included, everybody's looking like you just brought this guy here because he's a man. That's the only reason you want him to be the king. He doesn't even know how to be a king, right? They're not really wrong, and I could kind of understand that on the outside looking in. Like, I would rather have my daughter, you know, somebody who knows the kingdom, somebody who's been here her whole life, somebody who's probably better prepared, right? Because I guess he would be the main antagonist, his son. We don't know shit about him just in general. Like, they show him in the beginning, they show him at a job interview, they implied that his life was pretty rough. And that I guess he's kind of like an underdog or bum ass nigga, whatever you want to say. He don't got a job, whatever. But it's like they don't really show any of his struggles in New York, right? We don't know anything about this guy other than he's Eddie Murphy's long lost son. And then when it gets to his daughter, they're like, oh, you know, I trained my whole life. I'm mad because I don't know this nigga. My brother just randomly came here. Which again, that it's fair for her to feel like that. But it's like, they don't examine or focus on her character enough either. And then it's like, that's the whole point of the movie, is that she's more qualified. Like, what about her? What do you show about her? That's a really big problem that I had with this movie. They did not really focus on any of the characters extensively or give any real backstory or anything like that. It's just a series of cliche, just fucking corny ass jokes. Like, again, I can't stress like how hard it was nothing in the movie that was really memorable for me or anything. I was like, haha, they funny as hell. But like, none of this shit was really funny to me. I felt like it tried too hard at the wrong times, in the wrong ways. Again, it was either way too serious or it was just generic, just shit just wasn't funny, man. I think the main reason why so many people are defending this and saying people like me or other people are going so hard on it is because they're just happy to see another sequel to this movie that they probably thought they never get. But that's the thing. The movie doesn't just fail as a sequel, not because it didn't live up to the original, but because the shit's just, to me, it's just generally not entertaining. Like, it's just a bunch of fan servicey bullshit. Just because the movie comes out at a different time, all the actors are older, we live in a different time period, that's not an excuse. Well, it's just a comedy. It's a sequel. It's not going to live up to the... No, that's bullshit. That doesn't mean that you don't have to try. The movie failed because it tried to be too politically correct, too aware, instead of actually focusing on storytelling. This movie is literally just piggybacking off the original. Oh, remember this character? Remember the McDowells? Remember James Amos had the fucking fake ass McDonald's? Remember that? Remember when Eddie Murphy was like, I'm going to thrash you? Don't make me thrash you? Like, remember that? Let's get a bunch of cheap, phony ass African accents instead of actually having people speak, like, have genuine fucking African accents. Let's just do that. Let's have Michael Blackson here. Let's put Teyana Taylor in here because she bad as hell. That'll make the movie good. Like, it's just fan service. And that's the real problem I had with this movie. It wasn't a good movie. It was just fan service, and everything was just a reference to the original. Pretty sure Eddie Murphy and everybody else was cool with getting paid. I'm not hating on them. But again, like, that's all it really is, man. The movie was just fan servicey as hell. Maybe it's just me. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think any of the plot points was original. I knew what was going to happen all the way through. Like, the plot was just everywhere. Like, 1 minute Wesley Snipes is literally plotting to take over Zamunda and shit. Then in the end, he gets his ass whooped by Eddie Murphy's daughters. And all of a sudden, he's like, you know what? Maybe I should leave this alone. Like, he's not threatening at all. Like, I couldn't take any of the characters serious, and not because they were too silly. It just didn't feel genuine. Like the acting was kind of subpar. Again, I know it's a comedy, but it's like it tried to be way too serious at the wrong times. And then when it was meant to be serious, it's like it just didn't, nothing about it felt genuine. It being funny, it wasn't funny. When they tried to tackle serious issues, it's like they failed because they didn't develop the characters enough. So the movie kind of failed in every way possible, except for the fact that it literally existed just to reference the original. And that's all I got to say about this movie. If you guys feel like I'm being too hard on it, if you saw it differently, please let me know. If you feel like this was good to the culture and you appreciate it and you're glad they came out and made this movie, let me know in the comments. But this has been my review. Like or dislike, comment, subscribe, turn on my notifications, and that's it.